having some trouble with the antenna. Yeah.
We recovered one of the ones that we did in '94. We recovered it here on the speech this year. We recovered two of them. One of them, the transmitter was gone.
Used to reduce scarring, serious surface skin injuries, and it'll stick the transmitter there temporarily while we're fiberglassing it. But
use the fiberglass
that's
strips,
right.
though.
Cloth strips are very
Because all the ones we see have evidence of scratching.
in the cut. You can feel some of the cut.
We often think about loggerheads do more of that. Divers often see loggerheads poke under down to every time
She goes on.
I would have thought green flush the body of the
So
transmitter.
you keep trying to perfect it a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
well,
got to be tough. I don't know how you...
We're really
Fried egg.
trying hard to recover one or more of those transmitters that we put
Especially, David's telling me that the one headed down toward the Tortugas before you lost it, one buzzed to the Bahamas, but still amazing. Yeah, I still have no idea how Turtle finds the Bahamas on it. And where do you say the other one?
Well, pretty much those two places so far. Two of the three in '94 ended up in the Middle Keys, or a little bit west of the Middle Keys, and one the transmitter failed pretty quickly. In '95,
I wonder why one would take off to the Bahamas, for example.
There are extensive turtle grass beds or pastures, and they're in that area between, say, the Marquesas and the dry Tortugas, and on back to the lower Keys. So from that standpoint, tagged on these beaches. No one in Florida, no one, not me, not anybody else, has ever got an international, or call it a remote recovery of a green turtle tagged in on a Florida beach. No one. So that was sort of at the heart of the idea to do this. We wanted to sort of circuit that.
The mission we had was May 27th, but that was unique among the 7 that we put on.
So how long? So what was that?
On average, about 3 months we've been getting, but you know, we've learned that they damage.
Who does the device?
The company that we get these from is called Telonics. They're out in Mesa, Arizona.
Can I ask what a thing like that costs?
They're about $2,800 just for the unit, and then you have to pay for the satellite time and the processing time for the data that's being sent up. And that, of course, depends on how $1,500 to $2,000 to run on average for the time we've been getting out of it per unit. So, you know, a little under $5,000 when you add in the materials to attach and all of that. But it's really the only way to try to get an idea when you have an animal that's going a long distance. You could really never get the information that we're getting by trying to follow them.
Lots of people.
We hope so.
How far will this animal go?
Well, we don't know specifically, but the ones that we've put on so far have been primarily going to the Florida Keys and a little bit west of Key West. And then last summer we had one that traveled to the Bahamas and spent about 30 or 40 days over there before we lost the signal.
I want one to go to Nicaragua. Well, not necessarily, because it might not be well protected down there, but...
So you can visit? Is that the idea?
No, just...
And yeah, we don't have a lot of tag returns of those, but we do have some, and they all point to the Western Caribbean. Those are juvenile green turtles this big that we tag in the Indian River and over the nearshore reefs.
Yeah.
What I was saying a while ago was that adult females tagged on nesting beaches, no tag recoveries, none, 0. But we do have, several of us have.
So that would indicate then that the adults just seem to stay closer to their original nesting sites and don't stray quite as far?
No, I think it looks. Look at the other, and from the other direction, that the juveniles that we have in the pocket turtles we have in our lagoons, and as in response to a real dive in the numbers of adult females showing up there, and the numbers that trend has turned around now. And there's some hope that.
Was there music?
It's the crab feeder. It's the one that really specializes in crustaceans, but they do take mollusks as well. There's longer days, pretty specialized in mollusks that take crustaceans. A little more uneven than some, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Elastomer that we use as the base in that direction, so it comes out in the right spot. But it pretty much, it's really nice to use because it forms very nicely around the edges, and we just push down on it, it sort of smushes out the sides, and then it cures pretty quickly, and you just cut away the excess that has come out. Just take it off of like skin grafts and wash it.
Without fear of pulling anything
right,
off with
yep.
it.
And they just wash it daily and put it right back on, and you can form, you can just form it over an area. It's not for open wounds, but for we still have our fingers crossed. Crowd.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, the lady comes with a job, you know.
Hey, David. Yeah. This guy, absolutely.
Just dial and send.
Doc, can you grab that garbage can, please? I hate to just give up on the... Okay, I'm going to be ready in just a minute or two, so just, yeah, just if she sprays, boy, just wipe her down.
What's that do, Barb?
She's kind of broad.
45. Well, tell me at 30, please.
Okay.
Let's just move over here a little closer. Okay, it's starting to go. I'm going to go ahead and get it on. Whoops. What are you looking at? It's coming. Yeah, just push down on that. You can also wipe it in with your fingers. Put it in from the sides.
It does give you a great seal then.
Does that look pretty straight from the back, Doc? Can you get a... We can shift it still.
You want to shift it a little toward you.
The back towards
No,
me?
the
Whole thing?
yeah. That's better, and now it's straight.
Okay.
Now it's good.
Good enough in there? Looks like we did, huh?
Pretty good. So
Like me
Hold
at
on
the
to
dentist.
When the dentist says, I'll be...
Signal is sent.
But it's a comfort.
Yes, it is. It was well worth the investment. They send a signal about every 45 seconds, plus or minus a couple seconds. So it's not continuously sending a signal. There it is there, and another 45. Taking it off, determine whether it's still sending signals.
Now, it's late in the season, but theoretically, you can mount one of these things early in the season, and this turn will make them come.
Maybe even almost all the way to Jupiter.
Doc, what's the phone number? Sorry. 427-8983. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Bye. Sorry.
Now we're just going to trim
I'd
this
be
off
forever
around the
getting the
edges.
final
Egg.
Don't you know that we were out on the beach on a Saturday night, real late, in the middle of the night, and come across this turtle that shine light on. Here's this turtle. Well, but the funny thing is that she apparently had these eggs left to lay, and she clearly took off. I mean, for places south, and she must have said, something's wrong here. And they're perfectly adequate beaches down there. She could have just gone ashore and let me know. She turned around, beat a trail back all the way up here to Melbourne Beach, laid her eggs, and then the satellite stuff told us that she headed pretty resolutely to the heath, the middle heath of the rapids. But she apparently, it was dumb luck. We would not have been able to know that had happened just from the satellite positions. It was the fact that my students really were out there on the beach that night and just happened to find her. That's our name.
That had to be a thrill for the students.
Oh yeah, it was neat. We got photographs. And already, the transmitter already had some small barnacles on. Barnacles.
This year, to try to keep things from growing on it.
But the other thing that Barbara may have been referring to is that one of the 94 turtles that we recovered this year was missing the transmitter, and there was evidence that someone had taken it off.
Is that right?
I just got it, man.
Okay.
But they couldn't get my phone. It was an answer to service.
Pirate Day.
They said give me the number where you're at on page.
I knew I.
Just put that one out on the internet.
Cell phone, who's the number, home front, office number.
That's one of the nice things about the elastomer silicone base there is that it doesn't generate heat when it sets up, so you don't have any even. In my spare time, I repair boats.
She said boats and surfboards.
Since this is transmitting while we're working on it here for a couple hours, we'll probably get a nice position for right where we are. And hopefully maybe get another one before it goes off tomorrow morning.
Default.
Green turtles do this, and then green turtles, if they actually go ahead and nest, green turtles stay on the beach much longer than loggerheads, move a lot more sand, produce a much bigger borrow pit. So it's pretty evident, really, after you've seen a few. Also, green turtles, I don't see it in that track. I was just looking over there.
Why'd you choose the greens this time? Huh? You just want to know more about the greens specifically, or?
Again, that thing about no one ever having a remote recovery of a green turtle tagged on a Florida beach. We had no idea where they were going, and as a matter of fact, it's a little bit, I don't want to say controversial, but there are a lot of people who simply would not believe or don't want to believe that it may be that these many of these adult Florida green turtles are spending most of their lives around in the waters around the Keys. Twitter data begins to point to the middle Keys and the lower Keys and the area out toward the Tortugas. And George out in the Hawaiians found the same thing. His green turtles were staying at places that people didn't know there were adult green turtles. And it always reminds me of when I first started working with green turtles up at the Space Center and up in Mosquito Lagoon. An old fellow at a fish camp up in Oak Hill told me about green turtles. He said they don't like to show their backs much. And
So that's,
and the fact is that they can be around and people don't know it. There's a fish camp called Honest John's. It's been there since the 1880s. And there were people who grew up on the river and lived at that fish camp all their lives. They weren't the least bit surprised that we were catching loggerheads, because if you sit out there and fish, once in a while a loggerhead will raise his head and breathe beside your boat. But they were surprised. It's possible that the common, what's it called, common wisdom? Or whatever.
conventional wisdom.
Conventional wisdom isn't right.
Find that a lot.
Not politics.
Oh, yeah, every once in a while in politics,
on.
you have to challenge them. Sure.
That whole area is part of the new Keys.
Keys National Sanctuary.
Right.
So
I was down there not too long ago with the Jason Project. We donated.
And it can be expanded if they go beyond these bounds. But we picked it out based on where the turtles have gone before, so we wanted the Bahamas in there in case we have a nuclear power plant, intake canal. Yeah. And it was released on the 17th. And this is his positions, 17th, the 18th and the 19th. And then the 20th. 3 of the greens from here have stopped. And then he continued on down and rounded Key West. Had a position from him about 2 days ago. If I had to guess, just from sort of what we've seen so far, looks like that's where he was headed, and now he's there, and that's where he's going to stay.
Down there until next season.
We originally had planned on putting 5 out here on nesting females, 3 that DEP purchased, and then the 2 that Snapper was gracious enough to buy for us. But then I got a call from the power plant that they had a male green turtle, and we know really nothing about the males. because they don't give us any opportunity really to study them as adults. They don't come up on the beach and hang around for us to do things to them. So I thought, well, I think it's worth using one of those 5 to put on this male and see what are they doing. And I mean, it's just one turtle. The females have done. Now, whether he was on his way south from a point north, of course we don't know. Well, here she goes, and she got down to about South Palm Beach County, I believe. And then all of a sudden, her track started going north, but out further. She jumped into the stream, or swam into the stream, and carried her north up to a point about here, and then she exited out to the west. And it's all, of course, very shallow up here on the bank. And came over here and just very slowly made her way all the way around the north side of that island and back around here, and then crossed over deep channel here, and we lost her signal right in here.
Make these available to the classes in print form, so they can put them up in the classroom.
In the educator's guide or a
Probably a separate thing.
I like the idea where a classroom can adopt a turtle and follow its track. I think that would be great.
So that's what it's going to look like pretty much.
A lot
and
of math work.
fatter brushes. We go to Kmart like every other day and buy all the paintbrushes they have. They seem to only get like 10 at a time. So unless we get it when they've just put them out, I had to buy these.
Turned out really good.
Yeah,
Found a good one.
yeah,
She's turned into quite the GIS.
yeah.
computer.
Who's that, Andrew?
Andrea, yeah. She's really just sort of taken that whole thing on, and without really much help at all,
I know. I'm thinking about what we can do.
found her way. I think I got that. I'm gonna get that really centered, but
You have
think
like
we'll
a
survive.
pattern for cutting out the glass. I mean, each piece thinks you.
well,
it's
actually, I
specific.
found this stuff is cloth tape, and it's already. These are hemmed
I was gonna
edges
say, you had to be
in
pretty good with the edges.
in
because
2 and 4 inch widths, which is fabulous, because before I was cutting it just from plain cloth, and by the time you get it here, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So now we just have to worry about the ends. That's bad enough, but it was just terrible before.
Have you all looked at the new stuff they use for making casts that is water activated? The reason I say that is I hurt my back and I went and had this brace made, and they did this sculpture, and they take and
With
put like
the-
a little
maybe the
sleeve,
stick,
and they
try
just
to
dip
push
this
that
stuff in
down.
water, and then
I've
they
heard
wrap
about
it,
that now you mention it.
and it
Yeah.
and that's what they're
I
doing.
think it's just stuck because there's some resin on the
casts out of
antenna.
that. So,
I'd really like to
thought it
maybe
was
work
pretty
it down
neat.
a little bit more.
We, our flight was at 11:20, so we had to be full.
have you ever gotten one back?
Not from these cards, no. Doc and his students have found 2 of them from '94 already.
Oh, really?
It was gone completely. I should have brought that with me. Just sheared straight down to the housing, and then the housing itself was also very abraded on the corners.
Like it'd been under coral, or I mean, you know,
Yep, getting up under something, yep. Now, we just,
population over the years. I've traveled south for almost 20 years in sales. I always see them when I'm out, you know, in rural areas. You see them, and I'll try to get them out of the road or something so they don't get squashed. I picked one up one day and put it in my car and moved off the side of the road, and before I could get off the edge of the road, he had taken the cart with just nails, and he was just raising it. I said, ow,
Just tearing the box apart.
They end up being satellite time and
Temperament.
and
Yeah,
devices
personality.
$5,000. You guys are doing it on 14.
Where's this turtle going, Doc?
I think this one's going to.
better off she'll be.
Really?
She's ready to go.
Should probably get some more tape.
Oh, okay, yeah, we do need, yeah, we have to do that. want to, you can stick this against it. I don't know if it'll stay or not. Until 5 after now. That NNC tag was 86. 86, they'd put the tag on. She had already actually been tagged by another group that had been working out here before that. We don't know the year, but it was probably 84 or maybe even 82 that it was put on. I'd guess maybe 82. Could have
12 years.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
When did you move over to Orlando?
Oh, maybe about 7-8 months ago.
Yeah, big time.
Big time. I went last weekend, but it wasn't the same not being on the field.
So you color code them now, huh?
It just happens to be the color we're using on our radio floats in Florida Bay.
Does that help with UV protection?
Is the resin yellow? Is the resin itself, do you know, a little anti-violet?
Yeah, I know. No, not really. No. For turtles in Florida Bay with these tags on it, we're able to, they also have radio and sonic tags on them, so we can go out and find them with the radio transmitter, and so we're able to see them regularly and recapture them. And
Are those primary loggerheads down there?
there are a lot of immature green turtles also, but and we are working with them. But
Walk up on
yeah,
shore.
it's actually great fun. When we catch most of our turtles by hand. We do fish with nets sometimes, but we've gotten to where we do most of our capture by hand, and we just search from our boat. Actually bonds the transmitter to the carapace. That's what holds it on. And then we have a fourth coating of just resin, sort of a finishing type resin, and then the anti-fouling paint. And that's it. And the whole thing takes about 3 hours to do from start to finish.
Now, how soon after this dries will she be ready to go in the water?
As soon as we clear up the saltwater switch heads in the front here that we've had protected with this masking tape, and this won't completely dry. It'll finish drying in the water, but it'll set up where it's tacky.
Okay.
And then she'll be ready to go.
You know, Rich, let's see. I met him Monday out there at C-54.
Murmur. Murmur?
Yeah, Murmur, yeah. You know Rich at all out there with, okay.
So she settles down, I'll start getting those. These are the terminal heads for the saltwater switch that's insting your battery. And so as soon as she
Switch off.
actually submerges switch on,
Oh, okay.
it works the opposite. When these are in the salt water, it makes a conductive path, and the switch is on, and the transmissions cease. And then as soon as she comes up, since she's surfacing generally at an angle like that, water's going to flood off her carapace, clear these switches, stops the conductive path, switch turns off, and within just a few seconds of that, probably 1 to 3 seconds, a signal goes up. And that's what you really need. So it not only helps conserve your battery, but it synchronizes your transmissions with each surfacing. And with an animal that spends very little time at the surface relative to the amount of time she spends under the water, you want to maximize minutes. Wait till she stops. Move too fast for that.
Yeah, right. Well, what they can do, if they do have that information.
Smeared the paint. Not a good paint job, I'm afraid.
Looks good to me.
By measuring the careless wing, they've done so many that they correspond by measuring the wing. They basically know how much.
Just waiting for that. Got a long tail.
Reason for being here.
Well, we're very excited about this project.
Susan, I'm afraid you're
for
a male. You have a
variety of
long
reasons,
tail.
But one of the greatest reasons is the fact that via the new technology that's been employed in this project, teachers and students in classrooms in a large area are going to be able to track the migratory habits of a sea creature that the adult population knows very little about. And what makes this so exciting to me is the fact that education is changing so rapidly via the technology. This is a good example of a case where
that she's
scientists
going to
and
turn this way,
teachers
so
and
are
students
you ready to
will
pick up
all
in
be
case she's
learning
going to
about
walk into her
something
tripod?
simultaneously,
Okay, I just
rather
didn't want her
than
to
the
walk into
traditional
her
model of
tripod.
education where teachers teach what they know. So it's very exciting, and I think by virtue of that fact, you're going to see a great deal of teacher and student interest. It's a hands-on activity, and I always believe that students learn considerably more when they're engaged and involved in a hands-on approach to education.
Once again, technology playing a big role, new technology playing a big role.
Well, the new technology is very exciting. The fact that this turtle has been fitted with a transmitter and will be hooked to a satellite, which will be downlinked to the internet, brings together a variety of technologies that to this point we've known very little about. And to be able to capture that in an educational setting and allow teachers and students to harness it to not only learn about science, but also to learn mathematics and mapping skills, reading and reading comprehension skills within the curriculum is a great cross-disciplinary approach to a hands-on approach to education.
I went in the office for a couple hours yesterday, but I need to. Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful. You know, as a member of the Florida Cabinet, I'm a
Sunday
strong
through
believer
Wednesday,
in the
and
environment and also a strong believer in environmental education for students and adults. I think that as our environment grows even more sensitive as we approach the 21st century, it makes it even more important for all of us as the adult and student population to learn as much as we can about what makes the environment tick so we can protect it in the future.
Ready.
So this has been a great learning experience for me, not only as a member of the Cabinet, but as a
She's
member of the Florida citizenry.
That's right, it's not really heavy.
Boy, look at that gouge in her shoulder.
Yeah, she's got some scar tissue over it too. Yep.
Turtles make any sounds that you know of?
No, they're really not vocal. The only thing you ever hear is a gasp, just air, exhaling air, a large volume of air, but otherwise they're not vocal.
It looks like a wedding.
Stop there. Stop. Stand there.
Almost looks like she got some of that paint on her nose. Come look at the front of her, because if she did, we should wipe it off. I don't know if it just looks a little green to me. is it just gray? It's just
Oh, I
her
saw that.
coloration?
I think I saw that.
It's not pink
I
though,
don't
is it?
think
Okay. Oh no, it's just dark gray, that's all. Just on the front of her nose. It looked kind of the color of the paint when I just looked at her. Problem is, you can't get a turtle picture without all these people in it. I got your bucket. There sure is.
What were you looking at?
Oh, well, I just caught the very tip of her nose. She's got just was really gray, and it was just sort of the way the light was hitting. It looked like some of the bottom paint had gotten on her nose. See that little
Yeah, I see what
triangle there? But when I got closer to it, it's just the way the light was hitting it. Yeah. And where are most of you from?
Atlanta. I'm actually from Atlanta. Sherry is also.
Is it, the company is based in Atlanta?
Our corporate headquarters is just south of the Atlanta airport.
Oh, so you guys are right in the thick of the Olympics.
1 million square feet in McDonough, Georgia.
Companies help. That's great.
Yeah.
And now, of course, now you've got the sun behind you.
I took my last one too. All right, dolphins on cue. Just had a long night.
Yeah, not as long as some of them, though.
Yeah, I got that one too. That's gonna be good.
Ooh, he just got his camera wet. Your guy. He's dragging in there.
Didn't touch my tape.
Gosh.
Well, you know, the more people that know about this stuff, the more that care.
The refuge, my sea turtles.
This guy's gonna get.
Just, I mean, you know, real quick.
Yeah, thank my mom and dad.
Thought you'd be here.
Yeah, right.
This is her camera.
Yeah, I'll have to get a copy from her.
You want to run him down there real quick?
Oh no, I mean this turtle.
Oh,
I don't care about Doc
I got a
and that
picture of Doc
turtle.
with the turtle.
Just
the him and the turtle, but I need to get pictures of the two of you. I got a lot of
Dean
you,
can do
you know,
that.
around
I
us.
should probably get the CEO in the picture too.
Yeah, yeah. I actually wouldn't mind being in it myself.
Okay, we'll get Dean to do it.
But I could get my education.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I knew him from Martin County.
What's your official title or position?
I'm an associate research scientist.
Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your company's support. We really appreciate it. Hopefully she'll be on her way. There's an outside chance she might nest again, but probably she'll be heading south pretty shortly. We're going to be updating the map every Monday, and by this Monday we really won't have much from her yet. But by the following Monday we'll have a week to a week and a half of the 4 turtles. So that'll probably be the first map we'll have up. Thanks very much. Nice to see you again. Appreciate your coming down. The first one we put on, it was really calm, and you could see her surfacing out there for a little ways. And yesterday it was much rougher than this, but even so, we did see her once she got beyond the breakers. We saw her come up, and just see that antenna rise right up. Take the tape off the switches. a little bit of the antenna was up then. Oh, there she is, yeah. Bye-bye.
And tape is rolling. Can you hear me if I talk? Very little. All right.
Can you hear him if he gets closer?
If I speak up really loud. For what you want to use this for that hour? Yeah.
Better to have this angle. We can always tell them what your questions are. It doesn't matter if they necessarily hear. They're going to hear a little bit off of this, but nothing. It's not going to be, in other words, a running commentary. All right. If you want a question and answer, like you, don't have to do that. All right. If you just want for me on our kind of stuff.
Well, it's probably less appropriate that I'm asking him things that he might be saying, you know, why Snapper decided to, you know, get involved in this at all.
Okay.
And get close together and I'll get you a wide shot.
All right.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you for the fact that we have a quality American-made company that is supporting our work and giving us some credibility. Glad to be involved with Snapper and like the tie-in with the fact that Snapper has a sea turtle or a turtle as a mascot.
Well, we want to thank you very much. It's been a historic event, and we're proud to be a partner with you, and we look forward to future adventures with you.
Thank you very much. Great.
Okay, walk me through that. What has changed since last time we taped? I guess that was 2 years ago.
Right, in '94, with the attachment, you mean?
Right.
This transmitter is basically the same unit as it was. Do you want me to look at the camera or look at you?
Right about here. And actually, Dave, why don't you stand here and you can talk to Dave.
Hey, Dave.
How's it going?
Okay.
So what's different from '94?
Okay, we made just one modification to the unit itself, and that was to add another layer of the Tygon tubing that encapsulates the antenna. And that was to afford a little more protection to the antenna, which we know is the weakest point on the transmitter as it sticks up above the shell. So we added a second layer of tubing to just give a little more protection to the antenna. And we're also adding a final coat of anti-fouling paint over the layers of resin and cloth. And that is just to help keep barnacles from settling out on the transmitter or on the carapace where we've resined it down, and to keep algae and other fouling organisms off of the unit.
We learned a little bit in the last couple of years by tracking sea turtles. What can we still learn? What still needs to be learned?
Well, of course, we only have a small number of animals that have had the units on, so the more that we can put out and build up our sample size or the number of turtles that we're studying, the more confidence we'll have in where they're going. So far, it does look like from the 7 turtles that we've tracked before in the last 2 years that they are spending significant periods of time, perhaps all of their time, in Florida waters, primarily within the area of the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, and on up around the northeast area around the Marquesas. One of our animals did swim over to the Bahamas and spent an extended period of time there before her unit stopped transmitting. So we are sharing some crossing international waters and sharing these animals with another country, which is very important for their conservation as well.
What do you think about the fact that school kids and other people have an opportunity to actually sort of watch as we watch where the turtles move?
Well, it really helps to sort of link them in a little closer with the animals themselves, and anytime children can become more involved in really following an animal that's moving, it helps them to understand them better and also to appreciate them more and develop a real caring for the animals and for the species that we're all trying very hard to conserve. And hopefully they'll carry that with them on into their adult life and do the right things to protect these animals.
Right. Were there any surprises in the data that you've obtained from the previous transmitters? Anything that surprised you at all?
Well, all of the places that the turtles have gone has surprised us because we knew really nothing about where they might go. Of course, we speculated perhaps they'd go to the Caribbean, perhaps to Cuban waters. Some thought perhaps to the Bahamas, but I think many of us were quite surprised that most of, again, the small number of animals that we've tagged have spent most of their time right here in Florida waters. And that is extremely interesting and extremely important to learn that so we can understand what threats they might face on their migratory route and what threats might be threatening them on their resident foraging pastures, which look to perhaps be, at least for some of our nesting green turtles, right here in the vicinity of the Florida Keys.
What kind of foundation does that information give you to work off of now? In other words, knowing that they stay in this area, which you weren't able to know until you started tracking them. Does that give you a decent foundation to work off of?
Well, it certainly gives us an area of better focus in terms of understanding more about their habitat requirements on the resident foraging grounds. We know very little bit about those specific places in terms of why they're important to turtles, what resources are there that are important to them in terms of feeding and sheltering. And as we begin to look at those specific areas more, we'll be better able to protect those areas, ensure that they will be there for these animals to migrate back to. And it may be that other animals may migrate even further than the ones that we've seen so far. Again, we have a small sample size and we really don't know, but with these 4 this year, we'll learn a little bit more than we knew before.
Yeah. Actually, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, and you can look here if you want to.
Some of the points that I want to just hit on are the nature of the program,
right,
what it's about, the fact that people can watch it, that they can adopt.
First off, tell me a little bit, if you can, about the program. It's got to be a very exciting program for you.
Right. The program is something that we've been working on for quite a number of years, basically trying to take state-of-the-art research into marine turtle behavior and migration and turn it into something that children or anyone else that's interested, for that matter, can get involved in and actually watch as researchers watch where these turtles are moving. So we've designed an education program that utilizes the data coming from satellites on showing where these turtles are moving. We'll take that data and put it on the internet, on the World Wide Web, so that school kids or anyone else can actually look at a map and see where these turtles are going, roughly about the same time that the researchers are seeing where they're going. In the process, we're hoping that people, especially kids, get interested in sea turtle conservation, learn about some of the threats that sea turtles face, and just carry that with them throughout their lives and try to get involved. When people go to the website where this program is based, they can get information about all sorts of things related to sea turtles, their behavior, all the sort of threats that they face, in addition to learning where these particular turtles are going.
The neat thing about this hands-on is not everyone gets a chance to either watch what you guys do with either a sea turtle release or eggs. Now they get a hands-on type of atmosphere and actually be part of it and spark some interest that way.
Absolutely. It's one thing to read something in the newspaper or see a magazine article about an endangered species, but to actually be able to take a personal interest in an individual that you can actually watch move around from your home or see where it moves throughout the world is something we hope kind of captivates children and others into taking a real interest and sort of personalizing the sea turtle in some of the things that they do.
Another way to personalize that is, of course, to adopt a sea turtle.
Absolutely. We're hoping that people get involved in a way by adopting one of these sea turtles. For a $25 donation, someone can adopt one of the 4 turtles. Probably I picture classrooms and teachers adopting turtles and really taking an interest in that specific turtle. Then they can log on to the website and see it weekly, where it's moving, and yeah.
I hate people. Let me change the shot so you can just continue where you were.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Adopting.
Okay. People can log on to the website, and there you can actually adopt one of the 4 turtles that's been tagged by a satellite. For a $25 donation, you can pick which one you want to adopt. We have named them. You get an adoption certificate as well as background information about the sea turtle. And we hope that people kind of take a personal interest in one of the turtles in this way. Particularly a classroom and a teacher, for instance, can adopt one and get a photo of that turtle and begin to watch where it moves and in the process learn all about sea turtles and some of the things that they face.
Okay, we had a little bit of a camera movement, so just give me a quick soundbite on the fee once again.
All right.
For just a $25 adoption fee, which is a donation to the Sea Turtle Survival League, people can adopt one of these 4 turtles and begin to watch its movements and take sort of a personal interest in it. We'll give them an adoption certificate, a map that they can use to track the migration, and we hope that a lot of people get involved in that sort of.
Whoa! Sorry, man.
That's okay.